Mishti was lying on her side of the bed, huddled under the duvet that was pulled up to her chin. No matter what she did, she just couldn't get warm. The cold seemed to have seeped into her bones and settled there, that very first day she'd arrived in Ireland. When the first rain had soaked into her socks, right through her shoes. She tried everything. She wore thick woolly socks, thermals under her clothes, wrapped herself in the Kashmiri shawl she'd received as a wedding present. Nothing worked. She'd been suffering a perpetual case of the sniffles for the past 5 years, and it left her feeling constantly hungry. Mishti was born in Calcutta, to parents who she believed had really only wanted the best for her. The best came in the shape of Dr. Parth Guha. His first words to her on their arranged meeting were, "I'm a medical doctor. You should know." He was primarily an academic, with a doctorate in psychiatry and no inclination for humility. He lived and worked in Ireland, but was well aware of his value as a groom in India. His parents advertised him to potential brides on the market as a catch, and they weren't exaggerating. He was taller than the average Bengali male. He had established himself at a relatively young age in a Western country where he was paid well. They reported his exact salary like shares on Wall Street. He came from good stock, and the stamps on his passport did most of the talking for him. If he were a house and his parents the sellers, then he was a property worth millions, in a prime location with unparalleled views. Mishti's parents couldn't believe their luck, that they were even in the running, along with the other eager bidders. All with their heads bowed and hands joined in gratitude, presenting their daughters to be accepted with a shrug or rejected without a second glance. Mishti and Parth first met in a restaurant in Calcutta that was advertised as an authentic American diner. It had plush leather couches and booths surrounded by plexiglass and served milkshakes, fries, and hamburgers made with ground chicken. Their parents had arranged everything, including the time and the venue. It was all decided for her, including what she was going to wear. Jeans, to show they were progressive, but with a more traditional kurta instead of a blouse, to give the right impression of the kind of family she belonged to and show she was capable of maintaining traditional values in his Western setting. What she would order, just a burger and maybe a milkshake if he insisted, too full for dessert to be polite. And a list of talking points. His academic achievements, the weather in Ireland, what he missed about Calcutta, and most importantly, let him talk about himself. It wasn't like the old days, when you didn't meet your husband until the final moment when the veil was lifted and you were bound in marriage forever. Now, you were given a chance, several chances in fact, to meet and get to know this person you were going to spend the rest of your life with. Mishti didn't think she stood a chance. She had never been abroad, and she wasn't interested in psychiatry. Her English was good enough to teach Class 1 children at an English medium school, but she spoke with an Indian accent and had trouble with prepositions. Unlike a lot of the girls she knew from school and some of her cousins, Mishti had never had any interest in settling abroad. She was happy where she was, in Calcutta with her family and her students in the comfort of familiar company. Parth looked her up and down before they were seated. It was the same way her mother had looked at her before she left the house. They were both assessing her proportions, her suitability, how much to charge per kilogram. She thought he was too handsome for her, in that broad-shouldered, clear-tanned complexion way some Bengali men had about them. It made them sort of ageless. Maybe also because they couldn't grow thick beards and had full, childish cheeks but masculine shoulders. Parth wore his hair swept to one side and had long fingers and quiet hands. She imagined his handwriting to be precise and neat. Parth was a man of few words. He had a lot to say when he was required to speak. For instance, when he commanded an amphitheater of eager students. When he sat across from his clients, though, she imagined he must be excellent at letting them do all the talking. He was only interested in answering questions when she asked about his work, but when she veered towards his social life, he checked the menu or looked past her. "I work long hours, I don't have time for fun," he said, examining the dessert list. "Of course, your work is important." She was pleased with her response, could picture her mother smiling. "I do important work. Nobody in India cares about mental health. Depression is as much an ailment as having a bad back or being diabetic.